now.
Welcome.
Good morning, all. We have a great guest today.
That's
Her name
right.
is Darién De Lu, and she's the president of WILPF, which is Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, the U.S. branch. It's a group that is 150 years old and has 5,000 members, and we're very happy to have her here. Hi, Darién. Hi, Eleanor and Nuri.
Hello.
Hi, Darian. Welcome, Darian. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. May I read your biography before I switch with you and bring you up?
Yeah.
Okay. Starting young, Darién De Lu has been a political activist for over 50 years. Her experience in civil disobedience, direct actions, and subsequent jail time in defense of the environment and to protect our planet from nuclear war and U.S. military interventions continues to inform her activism. Prior to her August 2018 retirement, she consistently bicycle commuted to her behavioral health job with the state of California, where she worked to address substance use disorders when they co-occurred with mental health issues. She continues to bicycle, especially along with her husband, and to go shopping at the local food co-op. Darién is a union, peace, justice, and Latin America solidarity activist. Her activism is peace and justice areas. In peace and justice areas led her to the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, WILPF, an organization started in 1916 in response to the horrors of World War I. In 1995, with hundreds of other women from a dozen countries, she rode on WILPF-organized peace train from Helsinki to Beijing. On the train, they engaged in a variety of workshops. They traveled through Russia, Belarus, Romania, Bulgaria, Turkey, Kazakhstan, and China, stopping to meet with local youth activists whose messages they carried to the 1995 UN Youth Conference in Beijing. Upon return to the U.S. in Sacramento and later in the San Francisco Bay Area, she continued her work with WILPF. She has been WILPF U.S. President since 2019. In 2018, Darién attended the International WILPF Congress in Ghana, West Africa, before COVID. She had traveled extensively to nearly every inhabited continent. She speaks several languages. As WILPF president, Darién writes articles and columns. In addition, she has written her guide to the California ballot proposition for over 30 years. She also writes and sings political and labor songs and sings frequently. Have to sing. Okay, thank you, Darién. Welcome. I'm going to let you get the center stage here.
Okay. Uh-oh.
No, this is
Now I can hardly hear you.
You don't hear me?
You're very soft.
But this is good. We need to hear you, Darian.
Yeah, we need to hear you. You're the speaker. Doesn't matter what we say.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Okay. So I'll try to get by on the questions.
Great.
Okay.
My first experience in jail time was with the civil disobedience at the Diablo Canyon nuclear reactor in California.
Wow.
It was construction at that time. A group of activists from the Bay Area were very much involved in organizing the people in jail, such that we had a very positive jail experience. There was a great deal of creativity, political discussion, workshops, presentations, skits, artistic efforts. It was a lot like being at a conference with very bad food and crowded conditions. But it made for great solidarity. This was in large part due to previous organizing by the Livermore Action Group and a pagan group in the Bay Area that was influenced by the Reclaiming Collective. So these were folks who had a great deal of experience in group process, in mediation, in facilitation, and all of those skills were extremely useful when we were in jail, so that we were in a position to respond as a group to whatever actions the authorities tried to implement. When they wanted to have us all get out of jail right away so that they could call us back later when we would be individually appearing and isolated, we were able to unify and reject that proposal. All of this was very educational about how to do effective group actions. And of course, it was an important political action. Although we were not able to stop the opening of Diablo Canyon reactor, we were able to delay it for several years. And I'm sorry about the phone. I turned it off, but it seems to have ignored me. And so that was an early positive experience. Okay. And after that, I had other civil disobedience experiences. None were as impressive as that one, mostly because more frequently with civil disobedience, they would arrest us and take us to whatever holding facility and then book us and release us, and we would be just a few people. But with other larger actions where I might have been support rather than someone getting arrested, I know that there were similar group efforts.
Wow.
So those were my experiences that both helped me not be afraid of going to jail, because I understood how one would be able to organize in jail, and also gave me additional motivation to seek to address the prison industrial complex in the United States, because we did have a little interaction with other prisoners and we could see how bad the conditions were.
Darién, what year was that?
She says,
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
What year was that?
What year?
I am not very good with years. That would have been probably in the maybe the late 1980s. I'm really not sure.
Yeah. How long were you there? Was there a book written of your experience and others in jail? Was there a publishing? Was it anything published?
I know that I certainly have not written any such books. However, I know Starhawk has written a number of books, blogs, and articles, some of which are about the activism experience, because the group that did organizing around Diablo Canyon subsequently organized around the World Trade Organization, and there was a contingent that went to each of the WTO gatherings to protest and be a political force. So I would recommend writings by Starhawk, which is one word, Starhawk. And that would give people both an insider's view, and she has a lot of really useful advice and information about how to be an activist in different situations.
We have a
Oh.
panelist, Iranian Chai Nabat, a beautiful Iranian woman who gives advice on or tells us. Do you want to introduce yourself, Iranian Chai Nabat? This is a women's gathering today, so and you're an Iranian woman activist.
Sure. Hi, Em June. How are you? Thank you for the invite. I appreciate it.
Sure. I love your clips. And just want to tell you that Darien De Lu, we are delighted to have her. She's the president of WILPF, which is a women's organization with 5,000 members. And we want to start one for Iranian women. Not the type of hostile thing that was happening last year, but productive, introduce women of value, and they do activism, present Iranian women as the capable women that they are, not what they're presented as Pisarikhor or whatever.
Oh, I love that idea. I love that idea. Being an activist, being Iranian is one of the pillars of my life. And I'd love to know more about the organization you're going to be starting. I'd love to be a part of it.
Yeah, I'll be in touch. Please make sure to follow me and send me a note, and I will keep you posted. It will be good to get all the Iranian activist women to participate.
I love your chosen names, Nabat and Chai. Wow, Chai Nabat.
It's cute.
Thank you.
I love that. This is pure person.
It's actually true. I am a true Chai Nabat fan.
Chai Nabat, good. You got to come and we got to have it together.
I have about 20,000 followers. I have about 20,000 followers now.
Wow.
I'm sorry. Between all the platforms and profiles is 20,000. So
Beautiful. Beautiful.
People.
I love it.
Okay, going back to Darién, please continue. You were telling us about your prison story and publication. Continue, please.
So, from the time of the Diablo Canyon, I have continued to be involved in a variety of activist experiences, including a lot of anti-nuclear activism in the United States at that time in the late 1990s, I believe, or 1990s. We had the bilateral nuclear weapons freeze campaign, which for a while had some influence on U.S. nuclear weapons policy. Also, I got involved with the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, and in 1995, I had the opportunity, as mentioned in my little biography, to go on the Peace Train, which was a train that started from Helsinki, Finland, where the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom had their Congress, which they have every 3 years. We left Helsinki and took a very wandering route across Europe through Ukraine, Turkey, Romania, Bulgaria, Russia. Eventually, we got to China for the Women's Conference, the United Nations Women's Conference that was in 1995. Yeah. The Peace Train was very impressive. In each city we visited, we heard from the women in that location. Of course, most women were not in a position to be able to go to Beijing, so we listened to them and sought to take their messages to the Women's Conference in China.
Were you on the Siberian Express?
We took some of that route, I believe, but we took our own. We were in our own train. And so we went where we chose to go, where we were permitted to go. And when we crossed the border from Russia into China, then we changed over. We had been on a Russian train, and we changed over into a Chinese train and continued on to Beijing. The women's conference, there were actually two conferences. One was the official United Nations conference, and that one had to be an official delegate or whatever to attend that. But there was also the non-governmental organizations conference, and that was the one that most people attended. There were tens of thousands of women there, and it was an enormously impressive experience to be at that conference. If one were in some place where you had a little bit of elevation, like the second floor of a building, you could look out and see a sea of women. And that in itself was very inspiring. At that conference, there were all kinds of meetings, presentations, discussions of issues, of women's issues. And there was quite a bit of a range of opinions because Catholic Church was represented. People from different countries were there with very different points of view. I remember that some women from the West were making an issue of foot binding in China's history as a form of oppression of women. And the counterpoint was to make an issue about breast surgeries, whether it's breast enhancement or breast reduction, about all the kinds of strange cosmetic practices, nose jobs and cellulite extraction and so forth that women in the West do without realizing or thinking about that as some kind of oppressive system of its own. So there were many cross-cultural conversations, and I believe probably every participant came away with some new understandings. So that was an outstanding conference. Women's International League for Peace and Freedom did have some official delegates at the official United Nations conference, which actually started right about the time that the non-governmental organization conference wound down. After that, having been on the peace train, I became an activist in WILPF in the United States and ended up being elected to positions in the structure we had at that time, which led to me being on the national board of the U.S. organization. So since that time, about 1996, I've been active most of the years since then in WILPF's leadership in the U.S.